All right, Rangers fan, we've got a packed lineup of explosive stories today, and you're not going to want to miss a second of it. From injury headaches and multi-million-pound flops to wild transfer rumors, and even a few shockers swirling around Rangers. First up, we'll be looking at a pricey star whose future's on the chopping block as Philippe Clement lays down the law. Will he stay, or is this the end of the road? Then get ready for some fiery transfer talk. Who's the Premiership talent being called a no-brainer for Rangers? And just when you think it couldn't get any more intense, we've got a Rangers figure stirring up fury with a controversial comment about the rivalry with Celtic, and it's got fans buzzing. But that's not all. Steven Gerrard's fate in Saudi Arabia has big implications for Rangers. Is a return even possible? We'll tackle that question, plus what Ross McCormack has to say about that £4.5 million price tag for Cyril Dessers. Finally, we'll clear up some confusion around a hot rumor about a young Malaysian winger who's supposedly ready for the next step. But is he Rangers material? But first, to get daily Rangers news at your fingertips, just hit the notification bell. Well, here we go again with another what-if situation over an injured player at Rangers, Tom Lawrence, who was meant to be this big signing from Derby, is now finding himself under the microscope with Philippe Clement, who's clearly got no patience for the old contract blunders. Clements said it straight. No more of this players walking away for free nonsense, leaving Rangers with nothing but regrets and a lighter wallet. And when you look at the history, you can see why he's fuming. We've already lost some good lads like Morelos, Helander and Kent on free exits without seeing a penny back for them, which is exactly what Clement's trying to stop from happening again. Now, Lawrence came to Rangers with a bit of fanfare, didn't he? Picked up for nothing, and there was all this talk about what he'd bring to Rangers after an impressive spell as Derby's captain. But the poor lad's been haunted by injuries ever since, and here he is again on the injury list after hobbling off in the League Cup semi-final against Motherwell. 6 more weeks out, and as Clements hinted, it might just be time to ask, is he worth keeping around or not? The real sticking point is his contract. He's on one of these hefty deals worth about £3.5 million over 3 years, and now he's in the last year, with the club having the option to tack on an extra one. Clement's keen to bring in young, hungry talent, players who'll grow in value instead of aging out injured on big wages. It's a shift in approach for Rangers, no doubt, and you can see where he's coming from. Lawrence, however, isn't fitting into this vision so well, especially if he's spending more time in recovery than on the pitch. Now, here's a question that'll have fans at the pub going, should Rangers actually cut their losses on Lawrence and focus on the future? Or would keeping him be a risk worth taking if he ever gets back to form? The Lawrence Shankland to 2 Rangers debate. It's like an old song we can't get out of our heads, isn't it? Every transfer window, it's the same tune. Now, Shankland's had a bit of a dip in form this season with Hearts, only 1 goal to his name so far. But here we are asking the question again, is he Rangers material or not? On paper, it's easy to see why folks like Alan Hutton and Michael Stewart are calling this move a no-brainer. Shankland is out of contract in the summer, so he's a bit of a bargain, especially when Hearts were talking about £5 million for him last year. They might just be willing to drop the price this January, and it's not like we're strangers to a January swoop, especially when it involves a potential free scoring striker. Hutton's right about one thing, Shankland wouldn't fluff as many chances as our man Cyril Dessers, who's been hit or miss in front of goal. Dessers is unpredictable at best, while Shankland has shown in the past he's got that natural scoring touch, especially when he's getting decent service. Stick him in our setup, and he could be banging them in domestically all season long. Even Hearts' Cammy Devlin is praising Shankland's work rate, saying he's putting in the graft even when he's not finding the net. Then again, you've got to wonder why he's not firing like last season. Sure, Hearts are struggling, but it's no guarantee he'd suddenly find his form at Rangers. And at 29, you've got to ask, are we looking for experience Or should we be setting our sights on younger prospects who will grow with the club? Clement's on this whole youth and value mission after all. So here's a question to stir the pot. Should Rangers take a punt on Shankland to fix our goal-scoring woes, or are we better off trusting Clement's vision and leaving him for Hearts? Well, if that doesn't get you riled up, I don't know what will. Imagine a senior Rangers figure actually saying they'd stick with Clement, even if it means letting Celtic run off with the next 2 league titles. What sort of message does that send to the fans who bleed blue and turn up every week, paying their hard-earned money just to hear their club might settle for second best? Derek Ferguson's reaction makes perfect sense. This isn't what Rangers stand for, and it certainly isn't what the fans expect. The Rangers way is about ambition, about fighting to the end, not giving up for some supposed long-term gain. And yes, we all know Rangers have been a bit of a merry-go-round with managers lately, but giving Clement a free pass, especially after that 3-0 loss to Celtic and recent slip-ups at Kilmarnock and Aberdeen, feels like a betrayal of what the club's about. 9 points behind, and we're talking about waiting it out? The idea of throwing away 2 league seasons to build something sounds absurd, doesn't it? Winning is what matters, week in, week out, and Ferguson's right to call that out. After all, we're Rangers, not some team content to sit on the sidelines while rivals lift the silverware. So here's a question to chew over. Should Rangers stick with Clement for some mythical long-term gain, or do we demand immediate results and a serious title challenge right now? Here we go again with the Steven Gerrard rumors, as if we haven't got enough to think about. Seems every time Rangers hit a rough patch, someone's whispering about a Gerrard return, like he's just waiting in the wings to ride in and save the day. But let's take a step back and think about it. Would a return for Gerrard even be the right move for Rangers, or is it just nostalgia talking? Gerrard did bring us that unforgettable title win, stopping Celtic's 10 in a row in the process, and we'll always remember that. But let's be real, no cups, just 1 trophy in 9 tries, and his time at Rangers wasn't without its frustrations. It took him 3 seasons to get to the title, and his exit wasn't exactly graceful, was it? Many felt left in the lurch when he bolted for Aston Villa, and not every fan would welcome him back with open arms. Rangers' great Craig Moore's spot on here. For some fans, Gerrard's return would feel like a fresh start, but for others, it'd feel like a step back. And then there's the fact that Gerrard's recent run with Al-Ettifaq hasn't exactly been smooth sailing either. His assistants have been shown the door, which doesn't scream stability or success. Ettifaq's chosen to stick by him for now, but that's hardly a ringing endorsement. If anything, it raises questions about whether he's learning from his past mistakes or just repeating them. So here's the big question for you. Would bringing Gerrard back be a masterstroke for Rangers, or is it just a case of looking back rather than moving forward? So here's the tough reality. We shelled out £4.5 million on Cyril Dessers, hoping he'd be our main man up front, but it's looking more like a hit-and-miss investment. Sure, he's managed 10 goals this season, but it's been a bit of a roller coaster with his form. Sometimes he looks the part, and sometimes he's invisible on the pitch. Ross McCormack hit the nail on the head. That £4.5 million is about where we are right now, but it doesn't mean we've got to settle for this as our level. It's frustrating, though, when Celtic are out there spending £11 million on a single player while we're stretching our resources to keep up. The painful bit, unless Rangers get some serious new investment, we're at risk of being permanently stuck in a no-man's land between Celtic and the rest of the league. We're too big to settle for second best, but financially stretched to push for anything else. Even when Hearts' Lawrence Shankland was up for grabs last summer, the funds just weren't there. It's left us leaning on Dessers, whether he's up for it or not. But here's the million-pound question. Is it time for Rangers to swallow our pride and admit we need outside investment to bridge this gap? Or should we tough it out and rely on smart transfers and youth development? It looks like we're back in the land of rumor and speculation. This time around, it's the Malaysian winger Arif Aiman Hanapi, with some talk of him being ready for the next step, and Rangers supposedly sniffing around. But hold on a minute, because it seems no one's quite sure if this interest is genuine or just a bit of hopeful speculation from some far-flung sources. The Malaysian paper that kicked off the talk, the New Straits Times, seems to be working off whispers, and as of now, it's hard to tell if there's any real fire behind this smoke. That said, this lad Hanapi does seem like the sort of player who'd fit into the think globally plan Rangers have been aiming for under Niels Koppen. He's young, quick, and seems to have a good eye for both goals and assists, with 4 goals and 7 assists in his last 11 games. Not bad, especially when you throw in his decent showings in the Asian Champions League. He'd certainly be a bit of a wild card for Rangers, but who knows, maybe he's the sort of talent we could use, especially since the UK market's been a pricey playground we can't always afford to join. Koppen's made it clear that Rangers are now looking to cast their net far and wide, bringing in players from all sorts of footballing backgrounds, whether that's Morocco, Brazil, or maybe even Malaysia. We've already seen players like Hamza Igamane and Jefte arrive from outside the usual scouting regions. It's a fresh approach, one that's got Rangers thinking outside the box, and it could give us an edge over the competition. But with all this talk of hunger and standards that Koppen wants, it's clear they're not just after any player. They want the right kind of character for Rangers. So here's something for you to chew on. Should Rangers really be going after these unknown players from distant leagues, or should we focus closer to home and stick to more proven talent? Comment below what you think about the news. Don't forget to leave a like on the video to help me out. I post videos every day talking about our Rangers, so if you're not subscribed, you're missing out on the latest news. See you soon!